Hello guys, and welcome to my review of the Sony WF-1000x. This is Sony's first iteration into the premium truly wireless headphone category. Let's take a quick look at the box here. You can pause the video to get a more detailed view. Alright, let's take a further look at what's inside. You have the Sony here. It's basically a very nice look here. It's kind of semi-transparent. Basically just pull this up here. Earphones will be nestled in these two compartment slots here. You would have the charger nestled here. This is also like a foam silicone hybrid array of tips. You have small, medium, and large. Underneath this, when you pull this up, you have a micro USB to standard USB cable. You have your warranty and quick start and other documentation here, as well as an extra array of silicone-based tips to get the perfect fit for your ears. And you also have another set of larger sized ear wings to help keep the earbuds secure in your ears when you're doing vigorous activities. All right, let's move over to the price of this product. Currently, during the time of this review, you can pick this up for $199 US. To open up the case for the WF-1000X, you simply align the Sony logo to face you, and you simply just use your thumb to pry up the case's lid. Inside the case, you would have the earbuds nestled quite neatly here. Red indicates that they're both charging, and it's labeled pretty easy, so you can just match up the earbud. You see that the right is on the right earbud. You match it up with the right on the case here. You just simply insert. Once you pull the earbuds out, they automatically power on and begin looking for the previous source that was once connected to them. And once you insert them back in, they go back into a charging state, indicated here with this red. There's a little latch here that keeps the earbud from falling out of the case, like so. And it also keeps the earbuds connected to the terminal so it receives the charge. So be careful when you're putting these in, make sure that they're properly latched. Also, there's been times when I've opened up the lid and the earbuds were never charging because I didn't insert them all the way. I do prefer the Bose SoundSport free wireless implementation where it has magnets, so the magnet kind of like pulls the earbuds into the case, so it's kind of guaranteed that they're going to be charging. But once you get that click in for these, it's pretty much, you should not really have much of an issue. Now, the way these work in terms of their communication is that the right earpiece relies on the information from the left earpiece. The left earpiece is the master earpiece. This also suffers from that same issue with the Bose SoundSport free wireless, whereas the calls only come through the left earbud as opposed to being stereo. So the left earbud connects to your source, it pulls in that information, and it relays that audio information over to the right earbud. And that's essentially how they function in terms of connecting to your source and playing back music. Build quality wise, the case is constructed of aluminum, so the case feels pretty sturdy. Shouldn't really have any problem in terms of damage if this case was to be dropped or if it's in a bag. It's going to protect the earbuds quite well with its metal build. Earbuds themselves, however, are a sturdy plastic. They're not constructed of metal. It does appear so, but it's a sturdy plastic. I don't really hear any creaking sounds or any kind of indication that these can be easily damaged from everyday wear and tear. So I would rate the build quality on these as very, very good. As you can see, these do have this kind of transparent piece here. This is essentially the antenna that is exposed under a transparent clear shell to give the best possible connectivity that Sony claims to keep these synced up. I'll talk more about that connectivity later on in the review, but that's a general gist of how these are designed. I really do like the way these look. They look very, very nice. Comparable to the Bose SoundSport free wireless, I like the way the Bose look, so I'll kind of rate them equally in terms of my opinion for aesthetics. Of course, both of these look a lot better than the Apple AirPods, or I would call them blow dryers for ants. So moving over to the comfort of the Sony WF-1000X, and these are fairly comfortable in-ears. They essentially rely on how deep these sit into your ears to, one, create that seal, two, create that stability of that seal so they don't fall out easily. They also have the assistance of this wingtip here, but these are primarily in-ears in their sole purpose. So I'm used to the way in-ears feel. So the comfort for me is not much of an issue, but to other people, this can be quite intrusive. Sticking these into your ears, it can cause irritation. It can cause immediate pain if you're not used to having an in-ear based earphone. However, you can try around different tips to get that perfect fit for you, but it's just really a matter of getting used to it. But there are some who just cannot stand sticking something into your ears. So comfort wise, it really depends on the user. Now, in terms of features, these are quite packed with features, especially for their size. This is the only truly wireless earphone that I know of that actually has active noise canceling. Now, this really helps because it really helps me stay immersed in my music when I'm out in a loud environment. And this was the problem that I had with the Bose SoundSport free wireless earphones. They were essentially earbuds. They were kind of like semi in-ears. They sat inside your ear, but not as deep as how these would sit. So that, coupled with the fact that they have no noise cancellation whatsoever, allowed them to create this passive experience where you just feel like you still are connected with your environment. This is great for athletes. This is great for someone who wants that situational awareness. But for someone like me who just wants to get lost in the music, it's not great when you hear a lot of background sounds around you seeping into your music and overall slightly ruining the listening experience. These, however, create a seal which automatically blocks out a lot of noise, and it also has active noise cancellation, which I can't stress enough. It's a very helpful feature. The active noise cancellation on this is decently effective. It's not as good as the bigger brothers, which is the Sony WH-1000x M2 or the Bose or even my Bowers and Wilkins PX. These don't block out that much sound, but they do have a noticeable effectiveness in terms of reducing what you do hear. Now, they do have this sort of hiss that is quite apparent, and it's probably because of the fact that the speakers are so close to your ears. You're going to pick up a lot more detail easily, but it also has to do with the implementation on these aren't as clean as the bigger brothers to this product, as well as the other competitors. Now, it does has ambient aware mode, which is what's also found in the WI-1000X as well as the WH-1000X M2, which allows you to specify whether or not you want to hear only vocals or just everything else, but you can still be aware while having these deeply inside your ears. So this is a really great feature for me to use, to just put these in ambient mode and be able to walk around without taking these out and be able to hold a conversation with someone for a brief amount of time. Switch these back into noise canceling mode, hit play, and I'm good to go. In terms of controls, the left earbud, like I said previously, is the master earbud, and this basically is what also controls the active noise cancellation. So when you press the button on the left earbud, which is located right here, it's also the power button. So when you press and hold that, it'll power on the earbuds. This also, when you press it once, will switch it between ambient sound. You can switch it in the app whether or not you want the ambient sound to focus on vocals or just focus on everything around you. And then when you hit this button again, it'll switch to having nothing at all. So this basically, it says off, so there's no noise cancellation and there's no ambient sound. It's just clean audio. And then when you switch it back again, it'll switch to noise cancellation. The button on the right earpiece now is what's responsible for your media controls. Now, what you can do here is you can activate your voice assistant. You can pick up and hang up phone calls. If you double press, it will skip forward a track. If you triple press, it'll skip backwards a track. There is no ability to raise or decrease the volume. Also, in the event that you pick these up out of the case and this earbud does not power on, if you're not getting any sound out of the right earbud, if you press and hold this same button here, it'll power on this earbud. And what also happens is the voice prompt will then tell you what the battery life is. So you won't have her tell you what the battery life is until both of these are connected. Then it'll say battery level high, battery level medium, or battery level low. So that's pretty much the overall gist of the features on this earphone. It's quick rundown. It has the ambient controls as well, where it kind of monitors what you're doing. So if you're If you're sitting down, if you're walking, if you're running, or if you're on a vehicle, it'll adjust the noise canceling for you as well through the application using your phone's GPS as well as the accelerometer. It has ambient aware sounds such as the WH-1000X where it can focus in on voices or focus in on everything else. And it has your standard noise cancellation, which is decently good in my opinion. It does block out a good amount of noise as well as being a companion to the already good seal and noise blockage that just having these deep in your ears will do. All right, the next category we're going to cover is the Bluetooth connection and the codecs that are supported by this product. So let's go over to the codecs, which would pretty much be simple. These only support one codec as far as I know. Looking on the app itself, it tells you the current codec, and it seems to only support the SBC standard Bluetooth codec. Now, in terms of the quality of SBC, it's a bit of a hit or miss. It's generally not as good as aptX. And the latency is also not as good as the aptX codec or Sony's LDAC. So the problem with these specific in-ears as well as the Bose Sound Sport Free is they have a tendency to have a audio latency or audio lag when you're watching a video. So if you're watching a video, the audio is about half a second or so behind of what you're seeing on your screen on your phone or your tablet or your computer. And for a lot of people, this can be a giant deal breaker in terms of those who like to consume media that has to do with video. Now, it's not really the SBC's codec in terms of the faults as to why it has this audio latency, because I have the Bose QC35 and through Android, it only resorts back to SBC, and I don't have any issues with those headphones when it comes to audio latency and syncing up with the video. It's just with these specific in-ears, they have this tendency to just not sync with video. And this also trickles down into your everyday usage when you're controlling your media, when you hit play, pause, or skip forward or skip back, raise the volume, decrease the volume, you hear that this takes about a half a second or so to respond to those commands. So do keep in mind when considering these is that these are not going to be the best option if you're using them to watch videos, and just general usage, they do have a slight delay when responding to the commands from the source. Moving over to the Bluetooth connection, and this is where my biggest gripe lies. When you're in the house listening to these or indoors in your office or just generally indoors, and your phone's on the table, across the room, or in your pocket, or it's nearby you. Generally speaking, these hold a very strong connection and have very rare, if at all, any dropouts at all. But the second you step outside, it's all hell breaks loose at that point pretty much. And it's primarily when your phone or your media source is in your pocket. It seems like there's some sort of like a bodily based connection blockage that's going on where the left antenna can no longer communicate with the source that well because it's being blocked by some of your body parts, which is no excuse for a product of this caliber. It should still be able to maintain that signal. I did find that somewhat rectifying this issue is to have your phone outside of your pockets in your hands, or to keep them on the left side of your body because the main earphone is on the left earpiece. The main antenna based electronics are on the left earpiece. So keeping the phone on your left side of your body can kind of help maintain that connection. But it's also a factor of when you go outside, you're exposed to a lot more radio waves from other people's devices, from everything around you. And this seems to also get confused and not maintain that connection. And it's pretty sad because it looks like Sony engineered these to have a rather good antenna setup and algorithm here by keeping it exposed, but it doesn't really seem to function that well in real world usage when you're out and about. So generally speaking, the main usage case scenario for these earphones, you're going to have problems with the connectivity with these. It's really annoying, especially when you're trying to listen to your music and the right earpiece cuts out or the left earpiece cuts out or both of them cut out, and it's just very brief silence. The good thing is that they do connect back and start playing the music seamlessly rather quickly, but I just don't expect products of this price range to even have those types of connectivity issues. The Bose Sound Sport Free absolutely no issues that I even remember. That's to tell you how reliable the connection was. I had no issues when I go outside. There's no issues when I'm inside. So connectivity wise, these ranked very poorly for me, and this will be probably what makes me depart with them. If I do depart with them, it's the very poor connection when you go outside and you just simply try to use them. All right, so we're going to move over to the call quality as well as the audio quality. And with calls, the audio only comes through the left earpiece as opposed to having a stereo output. The Bose SoundSport Free also has a mono audio delivery where it only comes through the right earpiece. So personally, I don't really like that setup. I see it as a waste of an earpiece, and I wish that they did offer the ability to output the call audio through both earpieces. But the Sony does get a better regard in terms of the fact that it has active noise canceling. So in louder environments, because it only comes to one earpiece, I can still be able to hear what's coming through the other end from the caller. As with the Bose, it has a passive noise isolation, which isn't really that much of an isolation to begin with. So when the environment does get loud, it can maybe be a problem in terms of getting that vocal intelligibility from the other user that's on the call. Now, another problem with another Sony product that I'm having is the microphone quality, and that's the ability for the other user to pick up what you're saying and filtering it out from the background noise. And sorry to say, but these do a rather poor to mediocre job in that regard. I've had issues where users will complain that they cannot hear what I'm saying, or it sounds like I'm coming through a tunnel, or they hear more of what's going on around me as opposed to what I'm saying. And generally, it just makes me not really use these for calls unless I'm in a quiet environment that has no background sound. So this is also another issue that I had with the Sony WH-1000 and it's simply I cannot use these for phone calls unless I'm in a quiet area. Once I go outside and it's noisy or just something that's moderately loud, like a coffee shop or something, it's going to be very difficult for the other user to kind of clearly hear what you're saying unless you start to scream into nothing, because these sit at the side of your ears, and it may also make you look crazy because they're not going to really see that you have these truly wireless things on and probably think you're talking to yourself. But I did like the Bose for that reason, because the Bose's mic, the SoundSport Free, the microphone on that was very, very, very good. And I can talk at a normal tone, a normal pitch, and everyone can hear me fine. But sadly to say, this is not the case for this WF-1000X unless I'm in a quiet room. Sound quality wise, this is one amazing sounding product, especially given its size. These sound so good. I rank them above my Sony WH-1000 in terms of sound, and it has to do with the fact that these sound cleaner than the Sony WH-1000 also with a bit of a more, how can I say, more textures to the sound. In terms of comparison to the Bose SoundSport Free, these also sound better than the Bose. The Bose has a slight tendency to become tinny in nature in the treble and have a coarse sound and a little bit of a unnatural sound in mid-range in the upper mid-range spectrum, whereas these just remain smooth, warm, and effortless throughout. The bass on these extends very well. It's nice and tight, has a very nice warm integration that just smooths into the mid-range very nicely. The mid-range on these is very clear, very direct, and very easy to understand and just get acclimated with. It sounds very warm and natural, as well as the bass. The treble, very extended, very lively, and just rolls off very nicely. It could be a bit more air in the treble to give this a bigger sense of space, but also it's not really that detrimental to the overall sound experience. Soundstage wise, it's not going to really meet or compete with the your headphones such as the WH-1000 or the Bose or the Bowers & Wilkins PX, but given their size, it's pretty nice in terms of the sense of depth, the sense of width, and the overall sense of latitude and longitude. All that information that gives you that sense of being at the recording and those subtle cues to give you that pinpoint imaging. These are really, really good sounding. Now, what's important is getting that seal. Once you get that seal just right and the openings are lined up with the your ear canals and there's no obstruction, you're going to be in for a very, very nice audio experience. And it still baffles me how good these sound while absolutely no wires are in between them. It's just a truly wireless experience, and it really, really heightens my hope for what's to come with this specific category of earphones. They're only going to get better, and they're only going to get better after that. So sound-wise, these are my favorite sounding truly wireless earphones as of now. I'm going to pick up the Bang & Olufsen E8s relatively soon, so those might top these out. But as of now, compared to the Bose SoundSport Free, these sound superior to my ears, along with the fact that they have noise cancellation, which puts you more in your own world when listening. This just brings out a lot of details, a lot of textures in the sound that you really don't pick up with the Bose when you're outside. I just can't get over how great these sound. I can't believe they also surpass one of my favorite noise canceling headphones, which is the Sony WF-1000x M2 in sound, in my opinion. So for sound, these are pretty much quite amazing for their size. Compared to the Bowers & Wilkins PX, if you do want to know, they don't sound as good as the Bowers & Wilkins PX, but it's quite a bit right under there in terms of the overall sound and what's capable of these specific speakers inside of them. So in conclusion, these sound amazing. These look pretty sleek. It's very nice design. The build quality is really sturdy. Doesn't feel like they're going to break on the normal wear and tear. Price for the offering of the sound, I would give this a good nod up. However, what kills it for me is the Bluetooth connection and reliability. That can be enough to completely ruin this entire product. And it may just be enough for me to not keep these. I basically would never even have these as long as I did if it wasn't for the sound. That's what's really keeping me from even really trying to get rid of them. It's just the sound on these are just so amazing for their form factor and the noise cancellation, the fact that these are so discreet. Those other features are literally making it where it's kind of a neck and neck between horrible connection when I'm outside, which is my main usage scenario, and the other features that I just disclosed on why I love these. So it's a mixed bag for me when it comes to this specific product. It really depends what you're using them for. If you're going to stay inside and use these primarily for that, I highly, highly recommend these, because inside they don't have much issues with connectivity, and the voice microphone when making calls is also pretty good when there's quiet backgrounds. But the second you go outside, this is when it really becomes a problem. The microphone becomes nearly unusable, and it just tends to just drop in and out left to right very frequently. So it's a mixed bag for me overall with these. I will let you guys know if I do hold on to these, but just hit me up in the comments below if there's anything else that I did not cover for this specific product. And thank you for watching this review. Later.